There's 8 dangerous animals in the United States that actually hunt humans. And at least one of them is probably within driving distance of your house right now. The trails you hike on the weekends and the water you wade into on vacation have been quietly shared with apex predators that don't look at you and see a threat or a nuisance. No, sir. They look at you and they see food. And nobody's in any hurry to tell you about it. Not the Parks Department or the Tourism Board, and I'm sure as hell not the real estate agent who sold you that house backing up to the tree line. The people who actually know, the wildlife officers and the old hands who's worked remote country all their lives, they will tell you flat out, there are creatures in this nation that have stalked human beings, run them down, and killed them. It wasn't fear or self-defense driving it. It is because they were hungry and you're the right size. That's human-wildlife conflict, and it's raw. And most people have no idea it's happening. Now, this isn't some freak accident of nature documentary. One of the animals on this list kills more people worldwide every single year than sharks do, and it's probably rooting around in a ditch a couple of miles from your house right now. So hit the subscribe button, because every week we go into the untamed lens and we pull back the surface of the world and that you think you know and show you what's actually underneath. Go ahead and in the comments, put down where you live so I could tell you and make some more episodes about the creatures around there. Here are 8 dangerous animals in the United States that's going to hunt you, ranking from the most unsettling to the absolutely terrifying. Number 8, those wild hogs, feral hogs. You're driving a back road in East Texas, maybe South Georgia, somewhere the pine trees press in on both sides and the ditches run red after a rain. You see a shape in the tree line and it looks like a dog, kinda. Then a second shape steps out and a few more behind it, and when the whole group moves into the open, you realize those ain't dogs at all. Those are hogs. Them are pigs. And then there's more of them in this country than there are people in the entire state of Missouri. Feral swine are the same species as the pigs sitting on a farm, and they've been documented in at least 35 states. The USDA Wildlife Services runs a national feral swine damage management program, and they put the population just north of 6 million and growing faster than anybody can manage it. Most folks hear the word pig and their mind goes to bacon or a county fair. It doesn't go to an animal that can weigh 300 pounds, run at a sprint, and carry tusks that sharpens themselves every time the animal opens and closes its mouth. That's not a joke either. The upper and lower canines rub together constantly, honing the bottom tusk into cutting edges like a knife on a strop. You got 1 to 4 inches of tusk sitting outside the jaw, razor sharp, and the rest is anchored deep in the skull. The field reports paint the same picture. A total of 412 documented attacks on humans were compiled between 1825 and 2012. And 70% of them, those happened after the year 2000. One of the victims that got physically contacted, 15% of those attacks were fatal. The males do the real damage because those tusks punch holes and tear ragged slashes, especially to your inner thigh where the femoral artery runs. You get opened up there, buddy, you got minutes. So if you're hunting, hiking, or just wandering rural land in Texas, Florida, or South Carolina, and those 3 states account for nearly half of all reported attacks in this country, you treat every thicket like it's got something in it, because it probably does. Don't approach a group of hogs, and don't corner one either. A wounded boar is about as predictable as a shopping cart with a bad wheel, except it weighs as much as your refrigerator and it's coming straight at you. Why does this get overlooked? Well, let me tell you. Because people think pigs are slow and stupid. And they're not either one of those. Wild pigs kill more humans every year worldwide than sharks do. The global average runs nearly 20 fatal pig attacks a year compared to about 6 for sharks. You won't find that in any beach safety brochure in those hogs ain't on some island. They're probably tearing up a field within driving distance of wherever you're sitting right now. Number 7, coyotes. You're standing in your backyard in the suburbs, right? Could be Southern California or the outskirts of Chicago. Or it could be one of those new developments outside of Charlotte. The fence is 6 foot tall. The dog's inside, and the street light hums at the end of the cul-de-sac. And somewhere out in the dark, something's watching you. They don't care about any of that. Coyotes have colonized every corner of this country. And these aren't the scrawny desert dogs your grandfather remembers. The ones up in the northeast that have wolf genetics mixed in, they call them coy wolves or eastern coyote hybrids. And that name's earned. They got bigger bodies and heavier jaws and a willingness to look at things they shouldn't and wonder if they can eat it. A documented analysis of coyote attacks on humans, they tally 367 attacks from 1977 through 2015. And 165 of those were in California. Of 348 total victims, 40% were children, 10 years old or younger. And when the researchers sorted out the motivation behind these attacks, the largest category came in at 37%. That was predatory. The animals were hunting. The record shows 2 confirmed fatal coyote attacks in the United States and Canada. There's probably more on that, though. In 1981, a 3-year-old girl named Kelly Ken was grabbed from the driveway of her father's home in Glendale, California, and dragged across the road by a coyote. Neighbors had been feeding the coyotes in that area. I guess they forgot to. Then in 2009, a 19-year-old singer-songwriter named Taylor Mitchell was hiking the Skyline Trail in Nova Scotia when 2 eastern coyotes stalked her and ran her down. She was airlifted out but died hours later, and the Taylor Mitchell Foundation was established in her memory. Later, analysis showed those coyotes had shifted their diet to include moose because smaller prey was unavailable in that region. They'd gotten comfortable with the big targets, and a young woman walking along on a trail, she qualified. So don't feed the coyotes, and don't leave pet food sitting outside either. Keep small children out of the yard at dusk in areas where coyotes have been seen. And if one doesn't run when you shout at it, that's not a curious animal. That's an animal that's lost its fear of you, and that's the step right before something very bad happens. So where I live, you shoot them anytime you see them, but I actually live in the city, so you can't really shoot them like that. You have to shoot them and then put your gun away and walk outside like you heard a loud noise, and that's how you work that kind of thing, right? You probably hear them at night already. That sound is closer than you think. Number 6, sharks. You know it was coming. You're waist deep in the Gulf. Maybe it's Valdosta County, Florida. Maybe near Smyrna Beach. The shark bite capital of the world. Could be Monterey Bay. If the water's warm, the waves are small, and you lost sight of the bottom a while back, you don't think about it much because everybody's out here. Surfers, swimmers, kids on boogie boards, and somewhere beneath you, something the size of a truck is moving through the water that comes up to your chest, deciding whether or not you're worth investigating. Out of more than 500 species of sharks, only 13 bite human with any regularity. And regularly here means 10 or more times total. According to the International Shark Attack File, or ISAF, the confirmed numbers from last year show 65 unprovoked shark bites worldwide, with 25 of them being in the United States. And none of those 65 were fatal. That was a 38% jump from 2024, when only 47 people were bitten in unprovoked attacks, the lowest number in nearly 30 years. Now, Florida accounted for 11 of those 25 American bites last year, which works out, and here we are in 2026, and there's already people getting bitten, but the year ain't over, so they ain't through counting. So those 25 American bites from 2025, which works out to be about 44% of the national total and 17% of every unprovoked shark bite on the planet, your odds of being killed by a shark run about 1 in 28 million, which sounds comfortable until you remember that somebody has to be one. Last year, a 55-year-old triathlete entered Monterey Bay with members of an open ocean swimming club she co-founded. A great white shark hit her and she didn't survive. That's the thing about sharks. Most bites are cases of mistaken identity. The shark doesn't know you're not a seal, but by the time it figures that out, the investigation has already cost you a limb or worse. So stay out of the water at dawn and dusk. Keep away from bait fish and anywhere birds are diving, because that means there's little fish down there they're trying to eat. And leave the shiny jewelry at home, because in the water it flashes like fish scales. If you're in Florida, especially that stretch from New Smyrna Beach down through Space Coast, understand that you're swimming in the shark's bite capital of the world. The water isn't yours, you're just visiting it. And the landlord has about 3,000 teeth, and it's arranged in rows that replace themselves. So that's a lease agreement you want to read carefully. Now, the next animal on this list lives in the same state, but it waits where the water is still. And if you're starting to see the pattern here, that the ground under your feet and the water around your ankles has been shared with hunters this whole time, do me a favor and hit that like button, because it helps us reach more people who are paying attention to the world the way it actually is. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead. We do this all the time. So number 5 is the American alligators. You're in Florida because this is the one that's always Florida. You're walking along a retention pond behind a subdivision, nice houses with the HOA, and somebody's kid left a bicycle laying in the yard. Floating in that brown water about 30 feet away is what looks to be a piece of dead tree, except it's not a tree. And it's watching you with the patience of something that's been doing this for millions of years and has never once been in a hurry. That right there is the ambush predator in its purest form. The Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission estimates a stable population, about 1.3 million alligators in the state, and they're in every county. They're not picky about the water either. A drainage ditch works just fine, so does a canal or a golf course water hazard. And if the screen door stays open too long, so does the swimming pool. From 1948 to 2022, 453 unprovoked bite incidents were recorded in Florida alone, and 26 of those were fatal. Nationwide, the United States averages 7 fatal alligator attacks per decade, with most of those in Florida, and the rest split between Texas and Louisiana. I'm sure you know that was coming. In 2021, a man in Louisiana was taken during floodwaters after Hurricane Ida. The gator they caught weighed 504 pounds, and human remains were found in its stomach. Just last month, a woman died after an alligator bit off her arm in a Florida river. Now, males make up 72% of alligator bite victims, and swimmers account for 40% of all incidents. The victims range from 2 years old to 90 years old. So don't swim in fresh water in Florida, and really don't do it at night. Alligators are most active between dusk and dawn, and they feed by ambush. If you're near the edge of any body of water in the southeast and you see a gator, it saw you first. And it's been tracking you since before you noticed it. Keep small dogs and small children back from the water's edge, because a 12-foot gator, well, anything under 40 pounds moving near the bank looks exactly like dinner. This animal gets overlooked because people think they're slow on land. But buddy, they can cover ground in a short burst faster than most people can react. Now the next animal on this list doesn't wait by the water. It follows you into the woods. It's number 4. The black bear. Maybe you're at a campsite in the Smoky Mountains, or you're taking the trash out at a cabin in the Poconos. Or maybe you're walking back to your truck at a trailhead in northern Arizona. The cooler's in the bed, and you left a bag of trail mix in the seat. Standing between you and the driver's side door is something that weighs 350 pounds, and it's staring at you like you just cut in line at the gas station. There are 750,000 black bears in North America, and most people will tell you they're the gentle ones, the safe bears, the kind that run away. Most of the time that is. Most of the time that is true, but Dr. Stephen Herrero wrote the landmark research on bear attacks, and it stands as the definite academic record on this topic. What he found was that in fatal black bear attacks, the bear was acting as a predator in 88% of those incidents. That wasn't a mother protecting cubs or a surprise bear defending itself. It was a lone male hunting, looking at a human and making a decision. The record shows 66 fatal bear bites attacks documented in the United States over the last 109 years, and male bears are responsible for the majority of them. California has black bears, but no grizzlies, and it recorded 25 attacks over that same period, that same general period, without a single fatality until June of 2024, when a 71-year-old woman became the state's first confirmed fatal victim from a bear attack. Then in October of last year, a man was fatally mauled by a black bear in Newton County, Arkansas. And authorities shot and killed the bear that they believed was responsible. So store your food in bear canisters or hang it from a line between two trees at least 10 feet from the ground. Don't cook near your tent, and don't sleep in the clothes you cooked in. You don't want to smell like what you ate, because you might smell like what the bear is going to eat. If a black bear approaches you and doesn't leave when you make noise, that's not curiosity. Remember that line? That's interest. And the difference matters. You make yourself big. You don't run, and if it makes contact, you fight back. Playing dead can only work with a grizzly, but a black bear that presses an attack isn't defending anything. It's eating. It's eating something. Now, people overlook this animal because black bears are everywhere, rummaging through garbage cans like a cousin who showed up uninvited, and most encounters end with the bear wandering off. The ones that don't wander off are the ones that make the news. And the next animal on this list doesn't wander off either. It outweighs this one by about 400 pounds. We already talked about it. Number 3, the grizzly bear. You're hiking in the greater Yellowstone ecosystem. The trail is quiet and you haven't seen another person in 2 hours. The huckleberries are ripe along the ridge, and somewhere in the brush ahead of you, a grizzly weighing about 400 to 800 pounds just picked up your scent from a quarter of a mile away, and it's deciding what you are. Grizzly attacks have been climbing. In the 5 years from 2020 through the last year, 11 fatal grizzly attacks were recorded in North America, which is more than double any previous full decades on the books. At least 74 grizzly bears died in the greater Yellowstone last year, more than half from human causes, and that kind of pressure doesn't make an animal more polite. The overall chance of being attacked by a bear sits about 1 in 2.1 million, but when a grizzly does make contact, the fatality rate runs about 11.5%. Since 1784, about 180 bear attacks, or fatal bear attacks, have been documented in North America. Spread that across nearly 240 years, and it averages well under 1 fatality per year for the whole continent. Yellowstone ranks as the 8th largest national park, and it only recorded 8 fatal bear attacks since 1872. But nearly all major grizzly attacks share the same setup. A human stumbles onto a female grizzly with cubs. She don't ask questions, and she don't bluff. She hits you like a truck full of lumber that's so angry. Well, so carry bear spray and know how to deploy it, because proven protocols using bear spray have produced 0 recorded fatalities in high traffic bear areas. Make noise on the trail and travel in groups. If you see cubs, understand that their mama is within charging distance, and she can cover ground faster than you could blink an eye, right? Don't run. Run from a grizzly like running from your truck when it's rolling downhill. It's faster than you are, and it doesn't get tired. This one gets overlooked because people figure bear attacks only happen in careless tourists who left food out. The truth is, most grizzly attacks happen to people who did everything right and just came around the wrong bend at the wrong time. Now, the animal sitting at number 2 doesn't need you to come around any bend. It'll find you in your own town. Number 2 is mountain lions. You're jogging a trail outside of Boulder or maybe Boise or on the foothills above Sacramento. Your headphones are on, the sun's set low, and the shadows under the oaks are stretching long. Up on the ridge to your left, about 60 yards away, something the color of dry grass is crouched flat against a rock, and it's been watching you for the last 400 yards. You don't know it's there, but it knows exactly where you are. Mountain lions go by more names than any other mammal on the continent, depending on where you're standing. Folks call it a cougar, a puma, or a panther. Other places call it the ghost cat, the mountain screamer, or the American lion. And every one of those names belongs to the same animal. That animal has been responsible for at least 29 fatal attacks on humans in North America since 1868, with more than 170 non-fatal attacks documented. In March of 2024, two brothers were antler shed hunting in a remote area of El Dorado County, California, when a mountain lion charged them. Talon Brooks was 21 years old and he was killed. His brother Wyatt was 18 and he survived with severe bites to the face and claw wounds to his midsection. These were two young, capable outdoorsmen who were comfortable in the woods, and one cat took them both on. In January of this year, a woman was killed in a suspected mountain lion attack in Lemire County, Colorado, and last year, a 4-year-old child in Olympic National Park was grabbed by a cougar and had to be physically pulled away from its jaws by the child's father. Thank you, Dad. That thing about mountain lions is they don't attack from the front and they don't growl first. They come from behind and above. If one spots a human running, the predatory drive kicks in, you become the prey. Runners and cyclists get targeted, and so do children under 16 because they're either small or they're moving in a way that triggers the chase instinct in an animal built to ambush deer. So if you live or recreate anywhere in the western half of the country, you're in a mountain lion territory. There's an estimated 30,000 of them in the United States, and in California alone, 2 die from car strikes every single week. That tells you how close they live to the roads, the trails, and your neighborhood. Don't jog alone at dawn or dusk, and don't let children run ahead on trails. If you see one, don't turn your back and don't run. Face it, make yourself large, and back away slowly. People overlook this animal because it's designed not to be seen, and they call it the ghost cat for a reason. Now, the animal at number 1 makes the ghost cat look sociable. Number 1 is polar bears. Here in western Alaska, in a small village, maybe 500 people, the kind of place where the nearest Costco is a plane ride away and the winter's dark lasts about 20 hours. The wind is blowing hard, the snow's coming in sideways, and you can't see more than 30 feet in any direction. Somewhere in that white wall, something that weighs about 1,000 pounds and stands 10 foot tall on its hind legs is moving toward you on purpose. It didn't get surprised, and you're nowhere near its cubs. It's hungry, and you're made out of meat. Polar bears see humans as prey. That's not an option. That's not my opinion either. That's a direct statement from the Senior Director of Conservation at Polar Bears International. In 88% of fatal polar bear attacks, the bear wasn't defending territory and it hadn't been startled. It was treating the human as food. The mauling fatality rate for polar bears sits just over 27%, which is higher than any other bear species on the continent. And when researchers looked at what kind of bear was responsible for these attacks, the answer was clear: nutritionally stressed adult males. Between 1870 and 2014, 73 polar bear attacks were documented across 5 countries, resulting in 20 deaths and 63 injuries. Now, 20% of those attacks happened between 2010 and 2014, which tells you the trend line isn't headed in a comfortable direction. Climate change is pushing bears off the sea ice earlier and keeping them on land longer. And the open water season gets longer and longer every year, which means more bears and more people are sharing the same ground for more of the year. That's human-wildlife conflict driven by a changing Arctic, and it's accelerating. Alaska went 30 years without a fatal bear encounter. Then in January of 2023, a polar bear came out of a snowstorm in the village of Wales and chased residents before attacking Summer Moak, who was 24 years old. and her 1-year-old son, Clyde. Both were killed. A neighbor shot and killed the bear during the attack, and when experts examined the animal, they found it was elderly and in poor physical condition. It was starving, and it walked into a town full of people to fix that problem. So, if you're in polar bear country, you don't step outside without awareness. You carry deterrence, you travel in groups, and you watch the weather, because a storm isn't just bad visibility for you, it's perfect cover for something that's white against the snow and doesn't care about the cold. This is the only animal on the list that experts say regard humans as a food source by default. Before anything provokes it, and before any cubs ever get involved. That's why it sits at number 1. It's probably the furthest thing from your backyard, and it's also the most honest apex predator on this entire list. If this one stuck with you, hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell so you don't miss the next episode of The Untamed Lens.